Well, thank you. Hi. Sorry. It's oh, there we go. 7 seconds, 8 seconds. This connection is a little choppy. So sometimes I think that I'm in a weird place because of the internet connection, because it's like very, very choppy. But welcome. Hello. My name is Jarrett Earl Casey. And I'm gonna sit down here. I Oh, I wish I had more on that wall over there. I just wanted to join you. It's been a few nights. So I've been up at my parents'. I had a really hard time sleeping a few nights ago. I was tossing and turning, and my cat she couldn't sleep either. She was jumping up and down off the bed and onto the windowsill, and I just had a really difficult night. That was on Friday. So then Saturday, my mom said, "Hey, you should come up." Or I'm sorry, no, that was Thursday. Sorry. So Friday, my mom said you should come up and stay the night. So I've stayed at my parents' the last 2 nights, and I didn't bring the laptop, so I apologize. But yeah, so here I am. I thought, okay, well, I'll start up on this again today. It's been a very difficult weekend for me. Like I said, I had a hard time sleeping Thursday, and I just kept hearing all kinds of energies and things that made me very scared. So Friday, I worked, and I had a terrible experience at work. All these things were going wrong. So I had to call, and they're going to call me tomorrow to see if we can talk about it. And this guy I'd been speaking with over the summer, he asked if I wanted to go to a comedy club on Friday night, and go to dinner. So I thought, okay, yeah, that would be really nice. I could use just getting out and doing something with someone. So we went to Zest, and it was really interesting when we spoke over the phone this summer. We like had a very warm connection speaking on the phone. He was so sweet. He would send me like little songs as text messages, and it was so nice. But on the date, it was not quite like that. It was almost like he was interviewing me. I'm like, and he looked a little different than his pictures, but you could tell it was him. He just his face was thinner a little bit, and yeah, but he was really nice. We afterwards we skipped the comedy show, and I just had him drive me up to Ogden. I had him just drop me off at Smith's. I had my mom meet me there. So, but on the drive up, it got a little better. We started talking, and it was much nicer. And then we went to Smith's and just walked around and picked up. I got some almond milk and some Ripple milk, it's called, for my mom, and she switched over to non-dairy milk for her breakfast tea. She drinks English breakfast tea every morning, and we yeah, what a strange world this is. So anyway, so the date was interesting. It was kind of weird. This summer he when he sorry, that's my toenail. uh, yeah. Anyways, it was strange, but he was nice. I felt like I don't know, but we anyways, he dropped me off at Smith's. My mom picked me up, and I stayed over there Saturday or Friday night, and I slept a little better Friday night, and then Saturday I just kind of hung around and went to the gym, and then I went to work, but I forgot my keys because I'd left my jacket at home, so I couldn't change. And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm gonna drive all the way back to Ogden, or I'm gonna have to buy new clothes. And I called in. I said, I'm like, I'm gonna be late. And they're like, get here as soon as you can. And in my room, I got a hold of my roommate, Jared, and he was able to come meet me and leave a key. So I hurried and changed. And the crazy thing is, when I got back in the car, I realized that I already had a spare key in my wallet, and I always forget that I have it there. So I didn't even need to go through all that drama. And I was so frustrated because I'm like, why don't I think of these things? Why didn't I think to bring my jacket? Why didn't I remember that I have a key in the little pouch? Why do we even have doors like this anyways? Can't we just like have I don't know. It's just such a weird, not even that, just it just knows who you are. No matter what changes you made out there, you can switch whatever you want. Like, not you, but don't get anything crazy trying. So sorry. I so anyways, I'm here and work went terribly. Also, it started out pretty well, which I think, is great, but by the end of the night, I'm telling you what, there's some crazy things going on in this world, and whoever's out there or whatever's out there like wanting that or trying to make everyone so scared or so, I don't know, is just well, it's very concerning to me, and I just don't understand why people are that way. And some of my coworkers, like, they're good at the beginning of the night, and then as the night progresses, they get kind of crazy. And then by the end of the night, they're making like sexual innuendo, and so I guess I should call HR. Oh, it's just hard. Although, yeah, there is that. There is that. So I agree. I think we should just work it out as a team. Just our restaurant team. We should just work everything out. So, um, anyways, I guess I can take the initiative on that. Oh, this planet. So anyways, so work was awful. I'm like, am I gonna even live to see next week? I don't know. And I thought, I don't know what to do. Should I just leave both my jobs, leave my apartment, and just go home to my parents' house in Ogden? But then I'm like, I can't live there because my dad doesn't like me there. And my mom doesn't like this awakening, right? That we're all going through, or that I'm going through. She she doesn't like the way I try and get her to communicate more clearly. And so I'm like, I just don't know what to do. I feel so stuck. And it's so crazy. I can feel like the changes as I go through places. I like get all warm and buzzy and energy, and then I feel like all drained and tired. And one of my coworkers, he does dishes, but also the pizza station. He walked by me and he like sliced my arm like this. Sorry, and not with a knife or anything, just with his hand. But I could feel it across my arm. And I was like, oh my gosh, it feels like he just cut my arm. I mean, my arm is fine. It's not cut, but I could feel it cut and feel it dripping. It was this craziest. I'm like, why did he do that? but but I was fine too, you know what I mean? So I'm like, okay, well, I guess I can't say anything. Um, you know, hey. So anyway, so Friday, Saturday night was a bad night at work, and then I go home and I sleep, and then I had trouble sleeping, and then today was really difficult. But I sat and I talked to my mom. We went and got coffee. I had a steamer because I'm trying not to drink coffee and tea, even though it's winter now. And I'm not saying that I'm going to do that. I still might choose to drink coffee or tea. But come here. What you doing? Look. Ooh, look. um, but sorry, she's like rubbing her head against uh, the laptop. But we okay, stop that. we then we went downtown. We walked around downtown. There's all these cute new little stores on 25th Street in Ogden, but I'm like, wow, all the stores are new. I'm like, I haven't been down here in a while. I mean, I've been down here, but I just hadn't seen any of those stores. And and then we stopped in Lucky Slice. I had a piece of vegan pizza, and and it was really good. And then oh, I'll post a picture on it. Oh, that's a good idea. Um, and yeah, so then I came home here and I was like, okay, is my apartment going to be okay? Just because I've left it alone for a couple days, and I was telling my parents, I'm like, I think we need to get Himalayan rock salt for their house and for my house because or my apartment um, because it can deal with the negative ions in the air that come from the electronics. Because I think that that's part of all this crazy energy going on. It's just all these electronics and all the frequencies and vibrations and sound waves that are coming from them, and then they're coming from us. You know, as humans, we also emit energies and vibrations, and it's just a lot. And I think our brains are like trying to figure it out. Stick to the salty. I don't like that. Okay, sorry. Um. So, anyways, oh, I'm gonna post this while I'm here on the computer. So, this is me and my mom out tonight or out today. Yay. Okay. Sorry, one sec. Had a slice of vegan pizza at, sorry guys, you're like, how rude. Lucky Slice Pizza today with Mom as we walked around Ogden and spoke together about life. I love her so much. All right. So there we are. Oh, you can't quite see it, can you? Yay! It was so fun. It's like, looks different. That's the thing. I'm like, every day I wake up, I'm like, gosh, I look different. But then even from different angles, I'm like, huh. Or the lighting or anything. Meow meow. But yeah, up. This apartment isn't subterranean. But it's like halfway. The windows are above ground, but then I'm like right now I'm sitting below ground, subterranean. So so when you're out walking around in the sun and during the day, people, the light hits you and you just look different. Someone's like, not a vampire. I'm like, no, I'm not a vampire. It's just and then this technology, it's like sorry, this really poor camera quality, I feel like doesn't capture the way I look either. It kind of like changes it. So I think it's very very interesting technology. Yeah, it's very it's just very interesting. But I don't it's it's hard because I'm like, I just took that picture this earlier today. Like I look already looking in the mirror, I'm like I look a little different. But I think it's just the angle. It's just and not, just kind of where the camera is coming from and the lighting and all this. So sorry, I think there have been voices in my head. I think they're ancestors maybe or people in the past that have been asking about that. They're like, he looks different. He looks different here. He looks different here. So I'm just discussing like why I think that is. But so we'll go back over here. And it's funny because my voice does the same thing. So sometimes I speak and I have an English accent kind of, and other times I sound almost like a woman, and other times I sound really masculine, and then other times I sound like how I did in college. I'm like, oh, I love when I used to sound like that, but it's all me, and it's all just kind of coming through me. So it's hard to explain. So anyways, that was my day today. So I keep telling people in my head because it's kind of a scary day, and I keep thinking, let's just keep going and let's be hopeful. Let's forgive one another. Not that people are doing anything wrong, but it's just this kind of people upset you, or they're not good enough for you, or anything like that. Just keep forgiving. Just keep going. Keep trying. Um, don't, let's try not to be scared or feel fearful. Let's just live our lives and do the best we can. And I think that's like what it takes. And besides people, kind of coming together and joining and healing and speaking in truth and honesty and support and life support. We support life. And all of these wonderful things. So anyways, I'm like rambling on now. So let me grab the course and we'll do a little reading. But thank you for being here. I'm sorry that I missed the last couple of nights. It was just I didn't have the laptop, and it was just been like, oh my gosh. Oh, she's so funny. Oh my gosh. Okay. So this is chapter 11, God or the Ego. Section 6, Waking Up to Redemption. It is impossible not to believe what you see. But it is equally impossible to see what you do not believe. Perceptions are built up on the basis of experience, and experience leads to beliefs. It is not until beliefs are fixed that perceptions stabilize. In effect, then, what you believe, you do see. That is what I meant when I said, "Blessed are ye who have not seen and still believe." For those who believe in the resurrection will see it. The resurrection is the complete triumph of Christ over the ego, not by attack, but by transcendence. For Christ does rise above the ego and all its works and ascends to the Father and his kingdom. Would you join in the resurrection or the crucifixion? Would you condemn your brothers or free them? Would you transcend your prison and ascend to the Father? These questions are all the same and are answered together. There has been much confusion about what perception means, because the word is used both for awareness and for the interpretation of awareness. Yet you cannot be aware without interpretation. For what you perceive is your interpretation. I was going to say interpretation. This course is perfectly clear. If you do not see it clearly, it is because you are interpreting against it, and therefore do not believe it. And since belief determines perception, you do not perceive what it means, and therefore do not accept it. Yet different experiences lead to different beliefs, and with them different perceptions. For perceptions are learned with beliefs, and experience does teach. I am leading you to a new kind of experience that you will become less and less willing to deny. Learning of Christ is easy, for to perceive with him involves no strain at all. His perceptions are your natural awareness, and it is only the distortions you introduce that tire you. Let the Christ in you interpret for you. And do not try to limit what you see by narrow little beliefs that are unworthy of God's Son. For until Christ comes into his own, the Son of God will see himself as fatherless. I am your resurrection and your life. You live in me because you live in God, and everyone lives in you as you live in everyone. Can you then perceive unworthiness in a brother and not perceive it in yourself? Can you perceive it in yourself and not perceive it in God? Believe in the resurrection because it has been accomplished, and it has been accomplished for you, in you. Sorry. This is as true now as it will ever be. For the resurrection is the will of God, which knows no time and no exceptions. But make no exceptions yourself, or you will not perceive what has been accomplished for you. For we ascend unto the Father together, as it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be. For such is the nature of God's Son, as his Father created him. Do not underestimate the power of the devotion of God's Son, nor the power of the God he worships has over him. For he places himself at the altar of his God, whether it be the God he made or the God who created him. That is why his slavery is as complete as his freedom, for he will obey only the God he accepts. The God of crucifixion demands that he crucify. Pikachu. And his worshippers obey. In his name they crucify themselves, believing that the power of the Son of God is born of sacrifice and pain. The God of resurrection demands nothing, for he does not will to take away. He does not require obedience, for obedience implies submission. He would only have you learn your will and follow it, not in the spirit of sacrifice and submission, but in the gladness of freedom. Resurrection must compel your allegiance gladly because it is the symbol of joy. Its whole compelling power lies in the fact that it represents what you want to be. The freedom to leave behind everything that hurts you and humbles you and frightens you cannot be thrust upon you, but it can be offered you through the grace of God. And you can accept it by his grace, for God is gracious to his Son, accepting him without question as his own. Who then is your own? The Father has given you all that is his, and he himself is yours with them. Guard them in their resurrection, for otherwise you will not awake in God, safely surrounded by what is yours forever. Okay. You will not find peace until you have removed the nails from the hands of God's Son and taken the last thorn from his forehead. The love of God surrounds his Son, whom the God of crucifixion condemns. Teach not that I died in vain. Teach rather that I did not die, by demonstrating that I live in you. For the undoing of the crucifixion of God's Son is the work of the redemption, in which everyone has a part of equal value. God does not judge his guiltless Son. Having given himself to him, how could it be otherwise? You have nailed yourself to a cross and placed a crown of thorns upon your head. Yet you cannot crucify God's Son, his own crucifixion, and you cannot assign to death whom God has given eternal life. The dream of crucifixion still lies heavy on your eyes, but what you see in dreams is not reality. While you perceive the Son of God as crucified, you are asleep. And as long as you believe that you can crucify him, you are only having nightmares. You who are beginning to wake are still aware of dreams and have not yet forgotten them. The forgetting of dreams and the awareness of Christ come with the awakening of others to share your redemption. You will awaken to your own call, for the call to awake is within you. If I live in you, you are awake. Yet you must see the works I do through you, or you will not perceive that I have done them unto you. Do not set limits on what you can believe I can do through you, or you will not accept what I can do for you. Yet it is done already, and unless you give all that you have received, you will not know that your Redeemer liveth, and that you have awakened with him. Redemption is recognized only by sharing it. So when he says all that, when you Give all that you've received. All that we've received is love and forgiveness and joy. Okay, so we need to give all of that. Doesn't mean we lose it, right? Because it's ours, but we need to give all of that. So God's Son is saved. Bring only this awareness to the sonship, and you will have a part in the redemption as valuable as mine. For your part must be like mine if you learn it of me. Oh, I might remember that. If you believe that yours is limited, you are limiting mine. There is no order of difficulty in miracles because all of God's sons are of equal value, and their equality is their oneness. The whole power of God is in every part of him. Or was that? The whole power of God is in every part of him, and nothing contradictory to his will is either great or small. What does not exist has no size and no measure. To God, all things are possible, and to Christ it is given to be like the Father. So, yeah, I think that's great. So as we were through this, um, that this course is perfectly clear, and obviously as we seem to struggle with it or not understand it, that he's saying just that, then you're struggling and you don't understand it. But that doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you, or that you're not going to understand it, or that you don't already understand it at a higher level. Okay, and so we all exist here on many levels. Okay, you have your higher self, your higher Holy Spirit self, who's one with Spirit, with the heavenly Spirit and the Holy Spirit, who are the same, right? Um, and uh, and just because you don't seem to understand it right now, right here, doesn't mean that you don't actually understand it. Okay, so you do. That's why you're on your way home to heaven. So, and to the kingdom of heaven, because you do understand it. And so it's good to take this time to just further and deepen and broaden and enlighten that understanding. It's just very helpful. But please know that you do understand it, that you have made the choice to choose God, to choose Christ, to choose the kingdom of heaven. You've made that choice. That is who you are. You are love, you are light, you are joy. And so now this is about learning to be those things, learning to be light, learning to be love, and learning to be joy, so that as you're gently called and pulled home, um, your life just can really thrive and flourish. And it seems like this year is the opposite of that, right? A lot of people are like, "Oh my gosh, this is so difficult," but but not really, right? Because, well, it is, but you can get through it, and we get through it together. We get through it together, and so it's so important to make sure. And I was reading from my friend Mackenzie today, um, talking about love the people in your life. Go to them if they need help. Go to them. Speak to them. Embrace them. Teach them. Help them. And however that is. If it's a phone call, that's great. If it's a visit to go grab coffee, or have lunch, or to read scriptures together, or to just sit and talk, drive in the car for an hour and drive around and talk, because that's so calming. Um, it's just a wonderful thing to do together, and to just know that you are not alone. It's so helpful, and it's hard for me sometimes here when I'm here in this isolated apartment, to be alone. I know that I'm not alone, but and I mean, when I say alone, alone, right? Just kind of solitary. Um, I say that because There are some people in the mind that like to take these double meanings of words, like you say alone, right? And they would say, oh, like a debt, like you have a loan. Uh-oh. Like, oh no, that's not what we mean. um, and so sometimes I have to spell a word out, and that's okay. But if I do it enough times, then people start to learn what I mean when I'm communicating. So even if there's a certain intonation, they'll go, "Oh, that's not what he meant," because we know what he means. And and so it's really important to just keep repeating at the same time till people start to understand your communication style. And even if your communication style, kind of fluctuates and varies as far as tone, right, or timbre, or whether it's a higher voice or a lower voice, um, that they still understand that your communication style through even all those voices, right? Because you're still one person, is still consistent. And so that's a very important thing to keep doing. So um, here we have where Jesus tells us, I am your resurrection and your life. And so the resurrection is the opposite of the crucifixion, right? It's real life. And so you don't have to be crucified or made to suffer, even in this illusory world, to be resurrected, right? So just by living here, even if you live a beautiful life and you have a beautiful family and a wonderful job, you can still experience the resurrection, because this is still, as beautiful as it can be here, is still not real life, because it's not the kingdom of heaven yet. And so anyone that even seems to live here or believes that they live here is not living in real life. And we will all experience the resurrection, where we will be brought into real, true life, which is the kingdom of heaven. And we will all be upheld. Um, and so take heart in that truth and carry it with you all day, every day. And when it gets scary, remind yourself of that. Tell each other that. Treat each other that way. When you see your brother and your sister, remember that that's true for them. And that for some reason, even though you're like, oh, that person, they bug me so bad, or I just really don't like them. Remember that they too are called home, and are part of the resurrection and have equal part in the resurrection. And so they are needed. And if they seem to struggle or they don't know they have an equal part in the resurrection, remind them, say, hey, you're important too. You know, I don't want to see you doing that thing, or hurting yourself or someone else that way, because you have a part to play in the resurrection. And it's so important that you be that person. Um, and that's something we can share with one another, and we can really take that one to the bank. um, so yeah, and that's what that means, is that you if you want to say to a concept or something, or anything, not anything, that hey, that's something we want to carry with us. We're gonna keep that right here, right? Then we can take that to the bank. It's like, yeah, that's what we've got right here. It's truth and light. That's who we are. That's who you are. So, um, and so he tells us here, you've nailed yourself to a cross and placed a crown of thorns upon your head. And just by living here, like that's what that means. It doesn't mean that you have to experience terrible things. Because anything that's not heaven is basically us choosing to live a burden, or apart or separate from our Father, who is God, and right, which is who is just God. Um, and I sometimes look at Jesus Christ as my heavenly Father, um, but who is also God, right? Who is God? So sometimes I just say our Father in heaven, which is the same as saying Heavenly Father, which is the same as saying God. But no matter how you look at it, choosing to be separate from God, which is how we live here, we're like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to get back to God, right? I can't wait to go back to heaven. That's a cross enough. So, but in this existence, we can learn, we can be safe enough and provided for enough and loved enough to have all the resources we need to learn, to really learn his true and pure and perfect love for us to a wholeness and a completeness to which we can return to him. And he will, as we make that decision and go on that journey, he will reach his hand down as we reach up to him, and he will pull us up. And so, and of course, we're holding each other's hands as we do it, and so we do that together. And it's such a joy and such a blessing to know that and to know that truth. So it's a blessing to share it with everyone. And and I like here where he tells us, do not set limits on what you believe I can do through you, right? He can do all things through you because all things are possible in him. All things are possible through him, and all things are possible with him. And so believe, 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 believe in the capacity of limitless love and abundance and peace and joy because it's so important. It's what lifts all of us out of this existence, or this illusion of a world and into reality. And so remember that's true. Carry that with you all day, every day. If you seem to struggle with that, remind yourself of that. Take deep breaths. That's my issue. I have trouble breathing. I have really shallow breathing. And tomorrow we'll read section 7, the condition of reality. So thank you. I'm going to go to sleep now and hopefully get some restful, restorative sleep. And I hope the same for all of you. You have a wonderful night. Okay.